Noémie Brochant, one half of the French connection for the Phoenix Mercury, the new capacity of it this season, has 39 assists on 86 assist points created within all of that. Let's just talk about her and the plays that she's been making for this team and how she's connecting dots for them. All right, Noémie Brochant as a starter for the Phoenix Mercury. I don't know if she's going to be removed from that position, not for a lack of talent surrounding her, but more so for just how great she's been in time on task, doing things above the tasks that she's being asked to do on a game-by-game basis, and sustaining with all of that. The scoring side of it all is a whole different topic, and more than anything, the defense is the main reason why she got the opportunity so early in the season to begin with. But we're here to talk about her playmaking and how that's going to unlock things to kind of showcase the abilities that she has in her bag, and also how it impacts the players that she's on the court with. So get to this first rep. We're gonna be seeing the Mercury get into a little bit of their high splits action. She ends up receiving the ball off the kind of pitch from Valou Ayayi, and we start this film session with the French connection, both pieces of it. So you have Noémie one half of it, and then the other half is Valou Ayayi, and you just see the pass that Valou is able to receive from Noémie. But as we bring it back, and you just pay close attention to the details within it all. So you get Noémie coming off of the pitch, immediately getting downhill, and her intent and ability to just get downhill puts pressure on the opposing big who's guarding Valou. And because Noémie's able to kind of break that contain and engage the opposing big, she's now understanding that she's created a pocket of opportunity so long as her pass is on time and the accuracy is there. And that's exactly what we see. Tight quarters. She's able to throw this pass over the top, knowing that there's space there, also knowing that the defender that's now switched onto Valou Ayayi does not have leverage on the inside. So if she puts this pass in a good location with good timing, opportunities there to score, and that's exactly what she does. Look at the placement of the pass. This is understanding the wingspan of the receiver, the timing of the window that you're passing into, and obviously the touch on what type of feel to put on that pass so that it gets to where you hope for it to get to and allow for the receiver to ultimately have a chance to score. And that's exactly what we see here. Valou is able to get this catch over the top, and it's all because of Noémie Brochant's ability to play as a playmaker. And as we speak to that part of it all, we get to this next rep. We're going to see a little bit more of the same. There's going to be some recurring themes through the film session. Nonetheless, it's going to be showcasing Noémie's kind of overarching ability to make an array of passes, how it helps connect things for the Mercury. So get to this possession, get to a little bit of a like-size pick and roll early in the offense between Noémie as she gets it on the second side and Kahleah Copper. So Kahleah has the matchup desired in Lexi Hall. And obviously Noémie has another desired matchup in Caitlin Clark. So they're trying to involve the two in action to manipulate an advantage in some capacity. And I love the setup for the Mercury, going from pistol 5 to swinging it to the second side and then getting into this empty side pick and roll. So job well done from those two in the empty corner, in the empty side. And as we see Noémie come off of the screen from Kahleah Copper, you want to pay close attention to the assessing and the processing of windows. You get the initial window here. She could toss that if she wants it to, and it probably gets there. There's a little bit of risk there, but also the processing of second windows. She knows that with the second window, there's going to be a lot more probability for that pass to get where she wants it to, and also put more pressure on the rim. So elects to go with the second window here instead of the first window. Kahleah is now able to win on leverage downhill after the screen that saw a switch into her roll. And she's able to get up a nice little opportunity at the rim. Doesn't convert it, but she gets free throws. And you let this one kind of roll back through, so you just get an understanding of the feel and the rhythm and the tempo of reads that Noémie is making and how she's helping to continue to put her teammates in position to be successful. All right, and in this similarly, we're going to be looking at her working this time with Alyssa Thomas. So at the still frame, you can kind of see based off of the body language and the coverage, the Mercury are in another kind of high wing, empty side pick and roll. Noémie Brochant working with Alyssa Thomas this time. Aaliyah Boston guarding Alyssa Thomas is screaming ice, ice, ice. So she wants Caitlin Clark to keep the pick and roll ball handler funneled toward the sideline and kind of forcing her down, going downhill. So doesn't want her to use the screen, doesn't want her to get middle. So Caitlin Clark adjusts her body language according to scheme on demand from Aaliyah Boston. So what can you do to kind of undo the coverage and find a solution with a certain type of tempo to it? And that's exactly what we see here, kind of highlighting the brilliance of Noémie Brochant. So she just elects to use that space and explore it. So she takes dribbles, keeps her dribble alive, keeps her dribble alive, keeps her dribble alive, and until she kind of really shifts the positioning of everybody on the defensive side for the Indiana Fever, it's not until that point that she picks up her dribble. And when she does that, she now finds herself into an opportunity to get into a little bit of a switching of leverage in terms of where the ball is and how that kind of manipulates opportunity on an angle to now throw this pass, as we see Aaliyah Boston get kind of lost in the sauce a little bit as Noémie kind of puts the touch and feel to hit that window to hit Alyssa Thomas in. And then we run this one back so you get, again, another good feel and rhythm for just the timing and the processing of Noémie Brochant. Undoing coverages, exploring opportunities to shift the coverage off of his base, and then being able to hit her cutters and her rollers with a certain type of cadence. That's exactly what you want. Similarly, the Mercury love this emphasis that's growing for them to play off of touch action, where you pitch it to someone and then you immediately chase or follow the pass that you made to receive the ball back. It allows for them to play with a little bit more tempo and two-player actions. And we see that here with Noémie and Alyssa Thomas. So you get the pitch, and then this is called handback or chase. You can call it a bunch of different things, but either way, she's just passing and following the pass that she made with the intent of receiving the ball back. Exactly what she does. And as she receives it back from Alyssa Thomas nails the screen, which is one of the most important parts. The other part is Noémie being intentful of getting downhill. So as she gets downhill, now it's about reads. You know, you have a natural 2 versus 2 that's happened because Caitlin Clark is behind the basketball now after the screen from Alyssa Thomas. So now it's all about, what is this defender right here going to do? Is this defender going to shift over knowing that Noémie is now engaged X5 and Aaliyah Boston with Alyssa Thomas rolling downhill? If she steps over, what is DeWanna Bonner doing? Is she going to space to the corner, or is she going to kind of hang out in this dunker spot area of the floor and present herself with opportunity to score? These are all the reads that Noémie is making in real time. So as she kind of breaks that leverage, nice change of pace to get downhill, fully making Aaliyah Boston commit to the basketball as Caitlin Clark is left behind in the dust a little bit. You create this 3 versus 2 opportunity. You have to make the right read because this is tight quarters. The space is not great to make this type of decision. It has to be one sharp decision that leads to an opportunity on goal. She sees that Monique Billings is going to roll in for the tag on Alyssa Thomas as she sees the late switch that took place with Aaliyah Boston now being on Noémie. Noémie anticipates all of this, and as she sees it all happen, you can kind of see where her vision is at this present moment. She's looking right here. If this defender steps into the paint, that means that DeWanna Bonner is open. If this defender sits or stays committed to DB, then that means that AT is open on the roll. Makes the correct read with the perfect type of precision on the pass, making sure that it gets to the intended receiver. And then we see DB do what she does best in terms of finishing through contact below the free throw line, 2+1 at a crucial moment in that game for the Mercury to ultimately tie it up in the second quarter. One of my favorite plays from Noémie there, reading tags and things like that. And get to this next one, we're going to see more of her playmaking feel on display. So she's running pick and roll with Alyssa Thomas. This is 1-5 pick and roll here. You get her using the screen and then just coming off and keeping that opposing big engaged. This is not like the most flashy play or the most nuanced play, but it really highlights her feel and her ability to just get the ball where it needs to in respect to what the defense is reacting to when she has the ball in her hands. So we see Noémie come off of the screen from Alyssa Thomas in the middle of the floor. Good job with the screen from AT. Noémie's just coming off with enough tempo just to shift Myisha Hines-Allen from being neutral to being slightly, even the slightest bit committed to the basketball. At this point, she knows that that top foot means that Myisha Hines-Allen is committed to the basketball. That means that the pocket pass is there. The Mercury do a great job with their spacing, having this double gap here. And the nearest defender behind the basketball is going to be here all the way in the corner attached to DeWanna Bonner. So creating that space for Alyssa Thomas's role and then allowing AT space to operate and attack off of that. And she gets into one of these great rhythm, well-timed middies that I got to talk to her about at practice yesterday. Get to this next rep, and we're going to be looking at a little bit more of just Noémie kind of working in different actions. So this time she's going to start off the ball, sets a little bit of a screen, a little bit of a pistol or hunt screen just to get a reaction out of the defense, which is exactly what it does here. Raven Johnson and Kelsey Mitchell, in fear of Lexi Held turning the corner there, are not necessarily on the same page for the slightest beat of a moment. And that's all it takes for Noémie to then get separation as she goes from ghosting on ball into a flare up top. And as she goes into that flare up top, you get a good job on the cut here from Valu Ayayi, just kind of getting out of there. And now we're going to be seeing back to what we were looking at on the last possession, AT and Noémie Brochant working in two-player action up top. So you get the screen from AT. She slips out, putting a little bit of pressure on the rim. And as you see Noémie go to turn the corner, she sees that there's a window of opportunity as Myisha Hines-Allen is again kind of caught in limbo. She's able to kind of find her, just not committed to the ball or kind of committed to staying next to AT, just kind of caught in limbo in the gray no man's land area, if you will. Hits her with a well-timed pass on the roll that she's able to do something with on the other side of it, gets up a 2+1 opportunity. And again, let this one flow through again. So you appreciate the reads, the cadence, and the feel on display on top of the processing for Noémie, putting her teammates in position to be successful, but also allowing for them to score a little bit more easily than them having to create for themselves. She's doing the creating with her pass. They just have to catch and execute. This is another fun one. I like to see the Mercury, especially with Noémie working with Alyssa. You get these two-player actions where Noémie's screening for AT in the inverted pick and rolls. Sometimes it's not always there. The defense loads up well. So rather than letting teams off the hook and going up with something next action-wise or trigger-wise that's predictable, they're able to kind of get into something with a snappy cadence. So it just eventually turns into a pitch, into an immediate handoff, and they get a little bit of a brush screen there from AT. I like that they get into these with the cadence that they do. It doesn't let the defense off the hook. And because of them not letting the defense off the hook, it allows for Noémie to explore space. And I'm bringing this one back a little bit because I want people to appreciate her tight quarters handle. In situations where a lot of young players, especially rookies, will pick up their dribble and the advantage that they were working to create is now neutralized and created a disadvantage and advantage for the defense because they picked up their dribble, Noémie keeps her dribble alive. So you get this stunt here from one pass away from Aaliyah Boston. She's unfazed by that stunt, keeps her dribble alive, and because she keeps that dribble alive for 2 extra dribbles, she's now able to make the defense react. You see Myisha Hines-Allen reacting to now Noémie breaking the plane of the free throw line and getting downhill. That now allows for her to have both players engaged. Her matchup that's trailing from behind, Kelsey Mitchell, as well as Myisha Hines-Allen reacting to the paint pressure, allowing for Alyssa Thomas to get a clean catch. And Alyssa's able to kind of cash in on those goods again from the creation of Noémie Brochant. These reads, again, not the most complex in some of these situations, but when you have more players that are capable and able of making these plays, keeping their dribble alive, processing, drawing two to the ball and being able to get off of it with an accurate pass, that allows for your offense to explore different depths of efficiency and effectiveness and keeping the pressure on the defense. Similar rep here. This time it's going with Kiara Linskin. So you get this kind of handoff after action takes place and kind of breaks down. Gets this little handoff. She's going to kind of turn the corner here. And then just watch the read that she's making as she turns this corner. So you have all of this action happening right here. She's got 2 to the ball at the moment. She knows that our fam is going to be crashing down on Kiara Linskins to make sure she can't just make a pass here and get it to her roller. So now it's about reading what these 2 defenders are going to be doing against these 3 Mercury players that are going to be stretched out on the perimeter as they kind of respace when Noémie turns the corner to get downhill. You have to make a smart, snappy cadence type of read, and that's exactly what we're going to see from Noémie. So she gets downhill, reads the defense, and please pay close attention to her eyes. Look at where she's looking, how she's going to ultimately manipulate the kind of help side defense, and how she ultimately is able to be able to create a great pass and opportunity to score out of that for her team. Kalia Copper catches a wide open pass, knocks down a 3. But as we bring it back and we look at it a little bit closely one more time, as Noémie breaks this, she knows that this defender here, the low man, is going to be stepping over to put the fire out. And what the Seattle Storm like to do is kind of get into these help-to-helper scenarios. So knowing that this defender is stepping over the help line, imagine a line going across the middle of the free throw line from baseline to half court. Once this defender here commits, the low man commits to the drive, she knows that she has now kind of created another numbers advantage by putting pressure on the rim with this 2 and 2 Mercury players here spaced on the perimeter versus 1 defender here in Flau'jae Johnson and her help-to-helper. So she's playing goalie, trying to play 2 on the backside. Noémie makes the pass knowing that that's not the one that's anticipated, and she's able to kind of use that sleight of hand to create advantage. Also with the no look on the pass, and you see the accuracy of it, it hits Kalia Copper within her body frame, within her shoulder width, allows for her to get to a spot that she's comfortable taking the shot from, knocks down that 3. That's a high-level play being made on a live dribble from the offhand position, driving left from Noémie Brochant. Just a couple more reps here we're going to be looking at in this film session. Got this game against the Portland Fire. The ball was in her hands a little bit more. I like this rep a lot, though, because you take the coverage that a team is giving, being that the big is going to be at the level as Monica Komakani comes off of the screen. So you know that you're going to have a naturally baked in two to the ball part of your process in terms of your playmaking. So what are you doing to combat that? What are you doing to keep pressure on the defense? They want to double team the ball. Okay, cool. Monique says, cool, I'll take this double team and I'll raise you ball movement. So she gets off of the pass quick. Look at where Noémie Brochant is spaced. She's not spaced there because she can knock down this shot. She's spaced there to give an outlet for Monique off of the pick to then be able to play within the numbers advantage in 4-on-3 behind the double team that takes place here on Monique. So as long as Noémie makes a quick decision, there is no wrong decision to make. If she skips it here to DB, that's not a bad decision. If she decides to drive left or drive right, that's not a bad decision. If she decides to skip this to the opposite 45 or the opposite wing rather, where Lexi Held is, that's also not a bad decision. However, the best decision in this situation to put pressure on the defense, see this opportunity, this subtle window to be able to hit Natasha Mack in. And that's exactly what she does. Essentially almost shorting the pick and roll, giving a quick pass and outlet off of the double team to then hit the roller in a kind of untraditional fashion. Gets it from point A to point B the way that it needs to be. And Mack is able to cash in on those goods, cashing it high, keeping it high, and getting two. And again, let this one roll through so you appreciate the speed of the reads that Noémie is making. Great accurate pass, puts it where only her teammate can get it, only her receiver can get it, and the Mercury get it easy too early in the shot clock. This time we get a rep with her. This is not going to be necessarily a shot made, but again, this is just to highlight and document and appreciate the speed of the read she's making. Gets into a pitch off of kind of a little bit of that chase action or handback action that we talked about a little earlier. This time she's going to kind of see the under, so she ends up going to reject the screen on the under. Great read here. So as she turns the corner to get downhill, you know that, okay, if this defender here, the low man, is going to be 2 feet in the paint, that means that the skip pass is there. You see DeWanna Bonner already with her hands up. But Noémie has to be able to get the pass there on a beeline with a certain type of speed to create shot quality on that closeout that she's creating for DeWanna. Look at the pass, the accuracy, the timing. Just appreciate the zip on it. It's on an absolute rope. Hits DeWanna Bonner right in the shot pocket. Again, DB doesn't make this one, but this is Noémie after a possession where DB had already made it through the possession before. Understanding the hot hand, understanding reads and how to get downhill, put pressure on the defense, and manipulate great shot quality. And also being able to kind of make the pass needed to give that opportunity. Again, it's not a make, but it really highlights the processing speed and the reads that Noémie is able to make. All right, get to the last one in this film session. This one's from a lot earlier in the season. Nonetheless, this was the play early in the season, first game against the Minnesota Lynx, where I was like, hey, Noémie has a lot more playmaking to her bag, because this is not something that players are typically just making a read on a whim or just kind of in an anomaly type of situation. There's a certain type of preparedness and skill and also processing that a player has to have. So you get to this one, she gets the screen, end up getting into a rescreen with Alyssa Thomas. And look at this pass that she's making. Similar to the last one we talked about with DeWanna Bonner, this time it's going to result in a make. She's able to kind of play a two-player action with Alyssa Thomas, sees the initial under, reads the under, gets back to her right hand, and ends up using the screen on the rescreen with Alyssa Thomas. You see the patience as she gets downhill, and she's already kind of reading, okay, look at this little peek as she breaks leverage and gets downhill. Look at where her eyes are. She's looking right at the low man here for the Minnesota Lynx and seeing that, okay, this defender has both feet firmly in the paint here. That means that there's no way that this defender can go from point A here to point B here in the corner as long as her pass gets where it needs to be with a certain type of cadence on processing, but also on delivery and accuracy. And that's exactly what she checks off the box on each and every last one of those objectives here. Takes the extra dribble to make sure the defense is not just flattened, but fully committed to the ball. Noémie now has 3 players engaged on the ball, and she's able to make this skip pass over the top. You see the arm angle, almost like a pitcher throwing a different pitch from a different arm slot. She gets it to the recipient where it needs to be in the situation where she's without help because of where Yvonne Nogic is and where that puts Kayla McBride in respect to that. Kayla McBride is too far away to X out. This defender is obviously too committed to the ball to be able to get back out to the shooter. Great shot quality on the closeout created from Noémie. The pass is accurate, on time, and on target. Kiara Linskins cashes in, knocks down that 3.